Now, a seed is encircled and it does contain the blueprint of something that can be simply observed with the Fibonacci sequence. Striving for perfection isn't always explicit. Trying to hold the frameworks should not be critiqued directly. If you have given yourself authority over someone's well-being, then report back to them directly. Bring home your chickens to roost. Don't take information too seriously. Seriously. 'Cause when you try to barrage absolutely everything, it's a habit. Doesn't matter if the rights are inherent. Bravery is change. Transformation is just a stage of life, and using other meanings for the word out of context causes lots of troubles and restarts the whole thing again. Mr. Deep Voice. Looking at myself in the camera. 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 I'm a dork. I'm a dork. And I'm looking at myself in the camera. I'm looking at myself in the camera. I'm a fucking dork. Don't tell me how to play my guitar. Looking at myself in the camera. Looking at myself in the camera. Going through this song like I got nothing else to do. Looking at myself in the camera. Looking at myself in the camera. Looking at myself in the camera. Getting all the chords wrong, playing the guitar wrong, like I don't even know this song. Looking at myself in the camera. Looking at myself in the camera. Like a librarian at the local library. Plenty of tricks to make the kids go sorry. Looking at myself in the camera. I'm not a library teacher. I'm a library teacher. And I'm kind of jazzy. Usually I bring my tambourine into the library. Seems to work. Nowadays I just turn up real early and then yeah, I just assume that, you know, if I did that, everyone will be quiet. Yeah, laughing at my own jokes. Not funny. I place the tambourine on my head and then that really maintains my properness. Nothing to see here. This is how you would act if you had... What was that? Oh. I feel overwhelming strife every fucking day of my life. That's nothing new. Nothing worth singing to you about too. Wong. Toby Wong from the movie. What's the movie? Is it Four Bad Guys? Toby Wong from Four Bad Guys by Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino's best movie, Four Bad Guys. It's just a one-chorded song about Toby Wong. I'm Wong, you're wrong. Something's very wrong. I'll sort of look around for words. Here's a word. Pearl. I'll take one letter out. I'll try it all the regular combinations. I like playing the Earl. The Earl is my favorite thing to play. curse like a sailor. Fuck, 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 fuck. And I play my Earl later. Now it's a parl. Parl, parl, parl. Hey, it's my parl. My parl, my parl. Hey, my parl. Oh yeah, I do it. A. I do a lazy A. Like Darrow. Actually a Darrow. So best be careful when you hear the Darrows coming. In the back of my mind, weasel your way into my derelict mind while I play along with this parl of mine. Now it's a peril. I am a peril. I rewrite the world. Pearl with an E, not an A. I'm just kind of sick of that one. Now, appeal. Appeal is appealing to me. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes. This one, I like to throw it in there every now and then. It's called the Rusty Combo. I like to let my guitar strings go rusty, and then it just has that nice earthy tone. Puts me iron in the resonations. You do chords maybe like, you know, with that finger, just one-fingered chords. Oh, rough as guts. Sometimes I wonder, like, if I'm good looking, and I'm like, crap, it's a nightmare. Like, cut off my nose and like, stop looking at me. This is my Squidward impression.
SpongeBob, your ruckus is making it really hard for me to play my clarinet. Would you keep it down, SpongeBob? I'm trying to play my clarinet.
And this is Patrick Star. This is my version of one of my favourite musical scenes from, obviously, you know, being a 90s kid. The SpongeBob's pretty cool. In fact, I think it's more of a the whole family kind of cartoon. I don't know what chords will go with this. Squidward, my best friend in the world. Squidward is my best friend in the sea. Squidward likes Patrick better than SpongeBob. Good scene, good episode. Or, it's a giraffe. One time I was in Den Haag. I was just up by myself watching Jaws in Den Haag, and yeah, basically I couldn't get through the movie because it was too funny. Um, every scene, every moment in that movie was just hysteria, like panic, and I just couldn't stop laughing. Also, yeah, when I read some of the street signs and tried to sort of read them to myself, I just it was overjoyed with laughter. Um, Especially, I still don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe after this video, I'll maybe look up the correct pronunciation right now. I'll look it up. I'll say the correct pronunciation. With hopefully a little bit of maybe a nice little accent of mine on it. It's obvious. I don't even know how to spell it. There's got a big Ferris wheel there, and it's a good place. Oh, is that it? Oh no, there it was. Yeah, it's got to be it. Oh no, hang on. Ah, yes. Now the pronunciation. Heh, it's bringing back memories right now. Heh heh heh. Copy and paste into there. Pronunciation. Oh yes, there's a video. I wonder if I can put this video up. I hope it's still recording. Yeah. So I said, I tried to pronounce it many different ways, and every time it's just got funnier and funnier. Here it is. Scheveningen. 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 I was saying Schloveningen. Scheveningen. Scheveningen. I once went to Scheveningen. It's probably straight down from here. If the earth is round, that is, and I'd like to think so. Makes more sense with everything else. Um, yeah, and the North Sea, beach. Don't know what the exact name of the beach is. Man, I had a good breakfast there. Some flapjacks and pancakes with with bacon, and I think it had blueberries on it, like strawberries, and I think it had maple syrup. Oh man, it was a good breakfast. Probably a late breakfast, like a brunch. Brunch in Scheveningen. I had brunch in Scheveningen. I had brunch in Scheveningen. I had brunch in Scheveningen. I went down to the beach. There was lumps and lumps of sand. I said to some man, hey, what's all this sand doing in piles like that? Hundreds of them. And he said, well, they dredge the sand from over there, and then they bring it back round to the beach, and they place it all on the beach, and then the water washes it back out to over there again. And I thought, while I'm here, I really should put my feet in the water. So I did. On the public transport, the trains, found out the hard way that not the easy way, probably the medium way. Actually, I would say the easy way. That's a tough one to consider. If it was the easy way, it would just be to sort of, you know, see it all the time and, oh yeah, that's just how it is. Medium way is like, oh yeah, let's go sit in the at the back of the train, and then yeah, like an officer comes up and says, the back of the train is reserved for special ticket holders. I'm sort of loosely paraphrasing with, obviously my mind isn't so word for word or convince. Yeah, I don't convince myself that everything's word for word in the archives of my sensory input. And so, yeah. Um, anyways, yeah, he said, well, there's not many people in the train, and I'll just let you sit there if you, yeah, it was only a short amount of time before I arrived at the train station that I was going to hop off at. Um, there was lots of grassy areas between train rides. Um, there was, oh yeah, I had a game of street soccer with a young person. Um, I was walking past and sort of caged area thing, and there he was playing soccer by himself. And I said, hey, I'll give you a game of soccer. First goal wins. He was good. He was good. He was good at soccer. He, yeah, fucking had some skills that I have not came across in Australia. I did play soccer for quite a few years. Um, Started playing soccer in, what was it? The 7 years old, the under sevens, it's called, at Belmont. And when I finished playing soccer, I was the age of, I would have been the age of under 16s. So 9 years of soccer. Often, like any sport, in the regular weekend team and then representative teams, different sort of school teams, and then there's, from under sevens, obviously. Um, yeah, I just want to make clear that school teams, like people go to primary school and high school in Australia. In Australia, primary school is from kindergarten, which is on average 5 years old or 6 years old. And it goes through to year 6, which is typically 12 years old, which kind of, somehow sort of poetically lines up with 13 and teenager going into year 7. Just, not much, but. And then, high school goes through to year 12, which is, roughly when you'd be sort of turning 18, leaving school. However, I did not complete the year 11 and 12 years. I went and got a full-time job because, I had a casual job and then started full-time, and then got an apprenticeship within a matter of months rather than years, and completed my apprenticeship, I think, with flying colours. Why not, eh? Makes you feel good. And then did a whole bunch of other different sort of occupations. I got a ride on a whippersnipper and a ride on mower. Yeah, the those ones you see with both, and then a little bit reckless in the right times. Reckless. You wreck less when you know how to be reckless. I'm most certainly not a I'm not full of fear, like I wouldn't accept that. I think that's quite a ridiculous notion for any human being. What else have I got around here? A little notepad. interesting. Complete jumble of different themes in a lot of my videos. Here's some prefixes and suffixes. See the suffix OPE. The suffix is, I'll give an example of a suffix. If this guitar is called Alvarez, which obviously it is called Alvarez, the brand. I haven't named the guitar Alvarez, that's a bit. Although, maybe I'll call it Alvarez now. I now call you Alvarez. And so the R-E-Z at the end, or even the E-Z, is the suffix. The A-L-V is, or probably the A-L is the prefix. Here are some suffixes and prefixes. Now keep in mind, a human name doesn't have a suffix and a prefix. It's somebody's name. OPE, the suffix OPE, so what? Develop, envelop. It means to look or to see, open, not closed, not hidden. So I suppose you might say, not hidden. Not hidden. Not hidden. It's funny if you think of the postman will send an envelope, or a birthday card is an envelope. It's like, envelope. N, the prefix N-E-N, is to put in, or to cause to be, or to make into. There's that N, vel, ope. Vel means great peace and protection. So, to put in great peace, open, envelope. Pretty cool. Now, obviously, if you see that other videos on my channel, I'm more of a metalhead, and if you look at my hands, my calloused hands, although you can't really see them in that light, I'll try and get light a little bit more indirect. They're actually healing up really well because I haven't been fucking them up, although I will be soon. And yeah, here's some dictionary definitions from the Macquarie Dictionary. Dictionary. Selfish is an adjective. Devoted to or caring only for oneself, one's welfare, interests, etc. Just kind of an enveloped thing. My definition, before I looked up the Macquarie Dictionary definition, was self-pleasing acts. The particular excuses are not covering the fact that everything anyone does is an attempt to please oneself. Pleasing oneself through reward systems or intuitive actions is simply selfish. The second definition of selfish in the Macquarie Dictionary was characterized by caring only for oneself. Selfish motives. Would it be selfish to call someone selfish? Yes. Uh, the Macquarie Dictionary definition of favourite. There was quite a few. There's five. I mean, there might have been more. I stopped at five. Um, the first one was a noun. A noun, I think, because adjective is a label, and a noun is a name. So, favorite noun, a person or thing regarded with special favor or preference. I mean, by that definition, this is not my favorite guitar, but it is my favorite acoustic guitar. Um, the second definition was in the context of sport, which is a competitor considered likely to win. The third was in racing. Um, the horse, dog, etc., which is most heavily backed. Um, the fourth was internet, as in bookmark, favourite. The fifth was a person treated with special, especially undue, favour as by a ruler. And so forth. The preference, usually within a given context. I think I added that last bit, usually within a given context. Because, yeah, like in the right context, I could have, what's my favourite meal? Whenever I feel like is my preference. My definition for favourite was something fleeting that describes a sense of love, wonder, or attraction. Yeah, I wonder. Uh, Here's another definition. Sexuality. The Macquarie Dictionary definition. There's four of them. The first one. Oh, well, I'll say my definition first, just due to the nature of this. My definition for sexuality was one word: stigma. Now, the Macquarie Dictionary definition, the first one is sexual character, the physical fact of being either male or female. That's the first definition. The second definition, the state or fact of being heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual, sexual preference or orientation. The third definition, one's capacity to experience and express sexual desires. And the fourth definition, the recognition or emphasizing of sexual matters. So that's sexuality. Uh, The Macquarie Dictionary definition of forceful. It's an adjective, so it's a label. The first definition, full of force, powerful, vigorous, effective. The second definition is acting or driven with force, forceful. So forceful could just simply mean powerful and effective, or forceful could also mean things like acting or driven with force. Like, yeah. My definition, remember I wrote my definitions before looking up the Macquarie Dictionary definitions. Go ahead and doubt that all you want, but you would be a blithering nemesis of my mind. Forceful, a defense mechanism of a closed off part of reality. Yeah, forceful. That kind of thing. Oh yeah, I put together some of my own versions of prefixes and suffixes. I mean, rot, that was just good on its own. Derot, Derot. And then in, de, pro, de, gram. And pro, vel. And then pro, vel, ants. A-N-C-E, not ants, as in like when the static used to be on televisions. And pre-suff. And then I also wrote a note here, it is not possible to assume something that is false. This is a riddle. I'm trying to think on that for a minute. It is not possible to assume something that is false. I'd attempt to assume something that's false straight off the bat, obviously. Like, I will assume. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Now, obviously, people project that outwards onto other people and they think that it's true because they're sort of convincing themselves that they're getting somewhere. Really, it's just being forceful. And here we are. A hole in my head for listening to crap that just gets. Oh, here's a fart coming. Oh, it's small. It was a small fart. Oh, he's my friend after him. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I did not, um, when I wrote this, it was all I had was the book and the pen and my mind. So, this is about lesser magic and higher magic. Now, I will put into context that, there's a massive difference between what people like and know as magic, which is, pulling your thumb off or stuff like that. That's the fun magic. The other stuff is basically meditation. Nothing more, nothing less. It is to if I like the look of these sunglasses and they make a change within me of my feelings, then that helps me interact in a better way. That exact thing is magic with a K. Magic. Now, lesser magic and higher magic are two different approaches. Lesser magic, again, keep in mind that I wrote these using my own brain. Now, you can feed your brain with information, but you still have to be able to make sense of it to write it down without sort of, copying or having a reference right there. Obviously, everything in a way could be a visual reference for whatever, but it's all from my brain. So, lesser magic. Firstly, magic is willed change within to create mundane reality effects. Now, the mundane reality is, simply so obvious. So I'll start again. Lesser magic. Firstly, magic is will change within to create mundane reality effects. Like I said, the glasses. Lesser magic focuses on changing other people. This can be considered sometimes as a silver key. To some people, it could be considered that. Both forms of magic are not absolutely always adhered to consider. Yeah, both forms of magic are not absolutely always adhered to. So it's not like, I can only do lesser magic or I can only do high magic. It's like, for example, consider a job or a duty and social actual roles. Speaks for itself. Often birthed or born out of concern for others' well-being, but to the magus it is offensive and manipulation. This path tends that it forms a habit of imitation to understand. And as a mage, I suspect the word understand would be heavy rather, the word understand. Though I laugh at this hysterically. Relies on given things and pride, reward, and punishment for a sense of stability. And then I sort of, had a little a moment of like, I wrote, something within me sort of went, you can't make that shit up. And then I pointed the arrow to, though I laugh at this hysterically. Lesser magic uses temptation. It sniffs out disrespect in a world where meaning is subjective. So it's worth learning what the word subjective means. Lesser magic thinks that without a pure timeline, everything is lost, and pushes the buck as a warning classic old school parenting technique. It plants a flag and sends in, and then I just wrote in quotes, let's just sleep it off. No. And then treat themselves as justice, like lesser magic treat themselves as justice, as strong and bold. Oh, and don't forget up here, I said both forms of magic are not absolutely always adhered to. So yeah, lesser magic, as strong and bold, proud, and won't bend to the notion of below because it hasn't alchemized yet, or maybe never will. So yeah, and higher magic focuses on the self, like that. This is mostly considered a golden key. Consider leading by example, allowing for personal preference. Consider that leading by example in higher magic is not expecting anyone to take every single decision or choice as a blazed trail that cannot have a fork in the road. Higher magic. This path is full of pain, emotional stripping, and profound knowledge gained, insight. Higher magic is not concerned with offensive language and more so less concerned over time. Higher magic can become somewhat jaded or dragged through another's personal narrative. Ugh. Higher magic questions repetition as a form of maintenance within. Higher magic often, and keep in mind, it is full of pain, emotional stripping, and profound knowledge gain. So that's not something that can happen overnight. Higher magic often internally opposite doing to reveal layers of what I may call at this time folly, to often internally opposite doing to reveal layers of folly. High magic is defiant internally. And over a long period of time finds confidence, conformity, and a way of being unique to themselves slash yourselves. Slash is a grammar thing, like a. We should all know what a slash is. These mental faculties are then noticed more easily in others' behaviour. High magic gains power because of wisdom and gains balance with choosing what to ignore and what to engage in. Higher magic, yeah, wisdom is unique, and there may be a reason to not listen, as in do nothing. This is not to say become catatonic through communal symbolism. Higher magic can play roles to maintain order, not out of fear of punishment, from respecting what hasn't harmed you. So, yeah. Um, I asked myself some questions here too. Um, do do you really have a duty to obey or accept the consequences for your disobedience? And if so, why? Well, first, I was like, duty. Seems subjective because duties are unbalanced. On duty, duty, on duty, 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 on duty, duty, on duty, on duty, duty. Yeah. Obey, submit or comply, submit to someone or comply to the law. Mm. So the question was, do you really have a duty to obey or accept the consequences for your disobedience? And if so, why? And I wrote, to carry out a command or instruction to behave in accordance with natural law. And then disobedience, like failure or refusal. And consequence, importance or relevance. And then, so a failure to submit has a consequence, or a failure to submit to someone with authority is important. Why? Personal liberty, autonomy, sovereignty, all sovereign rule. And then I wrote Hail Satan. And when you hail something, it's like, yeah, you know, it's not worship, it's not reverential worship, and there are different definitions for the word worship. Worship can mean celebrate the return of. Um, yeah, hail Satan, motherfuckers. Um, oh yeah, because this was from the Anarchist Challenge. Why should, I don't know, it's the one and only Anarchist Challenge. It's like, you know, just I saw it and went for it. So why should we obey the law? And I wrote, because it makes others feel safe. In brackets, oh sorry, in quotation marks, safe. Because it makes others feel safe. Why should we obey the law? It gives power to protector archetypes whom would otherwise collapse. Why should we obey the law? It upholds dominant narratives, and in brackets disguised as maintenance of order. Why should we obey the law? It creates a sense of community. Why should we obey the law? It prevents outrage of whimsical mind/body connectivity. Why should we obey the law? Privileges people whom would otherwise stray from their parents, rather their parents' role models. Do I also have a duty to obey the law? That's the next question there. Do I also have a duty to obey the law? No, otherwise there wouldn't be a law. And do I also have a duty to obey the law? Change would never happen. Change facilitates evolution. And then, oh yes, what makes the state's authority legitimate? Now, I didn't look up the meaning of legitimate, so I might have to do that later, but at that time I just wrote, like legitimate. It's like fear, threat, or fed by reward versus punishment. What are the rules of morality? I wrote individual integrity. Integrity is akin to the meaning of the word yoga. What are the rules of morality? Not harming others. What about truth? Lies can mislead into confusion and pain. Act with integrity, personal narrative, beliefs and values. Tell truth, what if truth could upset? Um, oh yeah, yeah. So these. What are the rules of morality? These are the rules that they wrote. So it's not harming others. And my answer to that was, what about truth? And then the next one was act with integrity, and I wrote about that personal narrative, beliefs and values. The next one was tell truth, and I wrote what if truth could upset. The next one was keep promises, and I wrote what about self care. Um, I'll elaborate further on that. If I promise you that I will upload this video, what if my computer just ended up not working anymore before that happened? I have not kept the promise then. So, you could call that haha all you want, but then you stretch that out into other situations. It's the premise. Um, the next sort of rules of morality. The next one was treat others fairly, and then I wrote personal liberty. The next one was respect others' rights and property, and I said, what about dignity of risk? And yeah, yeah, try and see beyond the veil there. What are the rules of morality? Help those in need. And then I wrote financial stability is a need. Boom. And be loyal and faithful. Forgiveness is not foregoing. Um, and that's what sort of led into. Alright. But laws governing education, business, healthcare, contracts, and so on usually aren't like morality laws. That was keeping notes from the video I was watching. Yeah, because I paused the video and actually think about the questions to myself. Don't we need the state? I wrote no. Hence the etherical creation of symbolism written all over media, language, and environmental factors. It's a creation. This idea of etherical matter. It's a creation. It may have been necessary. And again, that cultivation of the higher magic, the painful cultivation of patience allows you not to react to such hype or hysteria. Um, we survive by putting our own needs first. This is the foundation of morality, autonomy. Someone had the great idea of putting a price on essential survival needs like food, water, shelter, etc. Now, obviously, we aren't going to do this fantastical DeLorean experiment on that one. Um, Trusting others is essential to economy. Constant fear of starvation, suffering, and death would make even the most well-meaning people distrust their neighbours. Without trust, cooperation is impossible. The remedy was an all-powerful to enforce, and therefore undermining trust. And then I sort of did like a bit of a comparison. So disapproval or mistrust. sort of align some words that in the same sort of category. So disapproval could look like rejection, but when it's mistrust, it could be apprehension. Um, Disapproval when it's exile could be shyness when it's mistrust. So basically, disapproval, rejection, exile, and heavy, and mistrust as apprehension, shyness, and light. Um, and heavy and light as that category, right? Not that. This isn't heavy. Um, yeah, so there is a big problem that I do notice about apprehension and semantic entanglement, cross culture. Australia is notoriously one of the most multicultural countries rather. It's a country continent, and yeah, semantic entanglement is real. Is knowledge even possible for us? Only to the degree of self-preservation. Is knowledge even possible for us? Whatever an individual senses is considered knowledge, yet not necessarily a fact. Um, could you be dreaming, for example? Skepticism, disparaging force, no doubt. Um, and belief is a catastrophic, disparaging force nonetheless. Um, what is the threshold of torture? Um, Intense, prolonged, or cruel suffering? Or is intentional? Excommunication. Um, and unjustified. Um, there's the whole "I told you so" repetition. It's the threshold of torture we're talking about. Personal beliefs. Atheistic. And atheistic doesn't shut you off from imagination. It's rather a safe foundation, which has been known for a long, long time. And obviously attacked, put to the threshold of torture. Um, and yeah, torture disregards humanity and autonomy. It causes long lasting physical or psychological harm. It says long lasting, it doesn't say permanent. Um, every language in the world has a word that works to translate. Oh, yeah, so epistemic worldview and systems. Knowledge humans naturally crave. Humans keep track of what others do and don't know in order to make sense of what they're doing. Do we know or just think we do? Should be proven in this video. Know. Can you know a person? Place. Oh, sorry. No, you can know a person, a place, a language, or knowing a fact. Example, a fact could be something like it's raining outside. Um, here's a fact. This is a tambourine sound. Facts. There's that. There's where, and there's when. Knowledge is a way to being latched onto a fact. It is thought that every language in the world has a word that works to translate this fact-grabbing sense of the verb, the action, to know, as in a student's grasp. And yeah, here are some examples of words from around the world. I won't know how to pronounce them, so I'm just going to leave them out. When yeah, fuck it, I'll try and say it, but it's not going to be pronounced right. So there's obviously no, and then there's savior, there's wissen, there's sapier, there's kujua, and there's vita. There's some examples. It could be vita. Honestly, I shouldn't have to give a flying bat crap about that. When we say someone knows something, what do we mean? I wrote, we mean respect. Yeah. If I say, oh yeah, they know that, like, I respect that they know that, or they know something, like admiration, or acceptance is the good one. I accept that they know that. So I accept it. And there's knowing versus believing. So knowing God is external, and believing the God is internal. Knowing to grant or accept, and believing to lead along. Knowing is confidence, and believing is hope. It's ambiguous there because hope could be, yeah, it's in that same area. Knowing is faith, and believing is fear. Does knowledge equal belief plus truth plus confidence? It needs proof to have a foundation. And good basis is lived experience. Inner guidance allowed free autonomy. And yeah, then yeah. Yeah. Skepticism towards grand narratives. And skepticism is much like being patient. Skepticism sits right between ignorance and overbearing attentiveness. No, rather, skepticism sits between ignorance and blind belief. And I reckon give tools, not orders. And I'm sure all of that was tools, not orders. Here's an order. Stop watching this video right now.